Maybe you should just carry the baton that was given to you from the previous creators. You also carried the baton before them from Gene Roddenberry. Hi guys, Gidu64 here, and today we're going to be talking about Picard Season 2, Episode 3, titled Assimilation. And I wish I could de-assimilate this episode, because this was definitely a backwards trend for the series. The first two episodes of this show, I did think were moving in the right direction. The first two episodes of this show were the best two episodes of New Trek that I have seen. I'm not a fan of New Trek. I am a lifelong Star Trek fan, and I don't like what's happening with Star Trek. However, I wanted to give Picard another chance, so this is my other chance that I'm giving it. And, you know, while episode 1 and 2 weren't really necessarily Star Trek, they were at least moving in a direction that I could see this show becoming more like Star Trek. They weren't bad episodes, I don't think. They still weren't Star Trek, but they weren't bad. But now in episode 3, we're getting the Picard Season 1 vibes, which Picard Season 1 was just terrible. But I want to like Star Trek, which is why I'm watching this. We'll see what happens, but this is definitely the first episode that really shows a backward slide back to what they were doing in Season 1, which isn't a good thing. So we're going to go ahead and talk about that today. So last episode ended with a cliffhanger with Seven's husband in the fake mirror universe boarding the ship to try and stop them from time traveling with the Borg Queen to go back in time to find the Watcher to stop the time event that caused this fake mirror universe. And so that was a cliffhanger. Elnor was shot, and you're like, oh, well, that sucks. And yeah, they solved the cliffhanger instant. Within like 5 seconds of the opening of this third episode, they just completely solved the cliffhanger. They just take the guns from the guys that boarded the ship and fight back and then destroy all the other ships. Anyway, after they dispatch of the people who boarded the ship and take out the other ships, Picard actually gives some orders again. Now this is one thing I will say about Season 2. At least Picard gives some orders and feels like Captain Picard at moments. Season 1, he never felt like Captain Picard. There are moments so far that he actually feels like Captain Picard, where he actually gives commands and feels a little bit like Picard. Unfortunately, a backward slides in this episode after this point, but we'll get to that here shortly. Picard gives out all the commands, and like I said, Elnor was shot, so he gets taken back. He's in bad shape. You're wondering what's going to happen. They're trying to make this jump to try and loop around the sun, just like they did in Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home, which they're, again, like I said in the last review, they're ripping off Star Trek, but at least they're ripping off Star Trek and not Mass Effect anymore. One thing I did crack up is the Borg Queen literally falls over. She's like completely face plants when the ship's being rocked, and she looked like me on St. Patrick's Day. Q shows up briefly right before they're about to make the jump after the Borg Queen is jacked into the ship and taking it over, and they're putting in the calculations to make the jump that apparently 7 of 9 can't do anymore. And Q literally shows up, says like 3 words to Picard, and then he's gone again. Snap. Snap, he's gone. I will say that when the Borg Queen actually takes over the ship, when she's crawling around on her two arms, I actually thought that was kind of creepy. I thought that was kind of good that they did that, because she kind of just crawls over and then jacks into the ship. I'll give him props for that. I actually thought that looked pretty good. And again, Picard's giving commands as they're getting ready to make this jump through time. And, you know, like I said, I'm glad that they're at least giving Picard moments to feel like Picard, because he didn't feel like it at all before. He's giving commands. That's what he's supposed to be doing. And actually, the characters are listening to his commands. So they make the jump, and then they crash land, and they lose power, and Elnor's dying in the back, and Rafi's next to him. And basically, I guess they kind of wrote in this whole Rafi kind of like a mother figure to Elnor. I don't remember that from Season 1 at all. I guess that happened in between the 2 seasons, and they had some kind of connection based on that. It's hard to buy because we didn't see that, but either way, it's talked about, and that's what's happening. And then Elnor dies. Aww. He dies. I'm sure it'll be a retcon through time travel and whatnot, but yeah, he's dead. Here's what I know, is that in New Trek, if you join Starfleet, you die, okay? In Picard Season 1, Ichep, a character from Voyager that they brought back just to murder him Saw style.
Hello. Do you want to play a game?
And then Elnor also joined Starfleet, and then he dies. So anybody who joins Starfleet as a new recruit basically dies in Picard. If you join Starfleet in this time, it's bad news for you. Then Rafi flips out and just starts yelling at Picard, and Picard's like, I understand how you feel. She's like,
You don't know how I feel. You don't know.
like, yeah, Picard knows how you feel. He's lost plenty of friends. He's made commands that people have died from. He lost his nephew. He lost his entire family. He's been assimilated. He's gone through way more crap than Rafi has. So, the idea that you're like, you don't know how I feel. And then she's like,
Oh, yeah, you might think that I'm upset or something, but really, I'm disappointed in you, Picard, because it's your fault.
of course, blame Picard. Now, this is what I'm saying. We're back to season 1 where we just blame Picard for everything, where Picard just consistently gets yelled at. Rafi says that
It's a distinct failure of leadership.
that's what she says to Picard. And then she blames him for Q and saying that him and Q have this back and forth, and that's the reason Elnor's died, and Picard should have ended this back and forth with Q and all this stuff. And I get it. She's upset, but still, this is dumb. This is stupid, because Q is an omnipotent being. Picard is literally just a chess piece. Like, humans are ants to the Q. Like, this is stupid. Like, Rafi should know this. The idea that she's blaming Picard for Elnor's death and then blaming Picard for not ending it with Q and blaming everything that's happened on Picard. This is very much indicative of season 1, where Picard just consistently gets yelled at all the time and blamed for every single thing. I don't think once in season 1 and not anywhere in season 2 have they actually given Picard props for all of the stuff that he's done for the universe, for Starfleet, and for the Federation. Not once. And Picard knew Elnor longer than Rafi anyway. Like, Picard knew Elnor whenever he was a kid. And they had a relationship from the season 1 that was far better, more built out than the connection between Rafi and Elnor. So Picard is also feeling upset, you know. Rafi, thanks for being selfish. God, these new characters, every time I'm like, they have potential. Rios is the one with the most potential, but everything with these new characters, they're so bad. They're not good characters. You don't entice older fans with newer characters by introducing newer characters that literally just yell pretty much consistently and blame and belittle an established character that the fans love, which is Picard. You don't ingratiate new characters in that way. That's pretty common sense.
Sheer hubris.
So Jurati comes up with this idea because the Borg Queen's dying, and they need to wake her up so that they can get more answers about the Watcher. And Rafi's like, I don't really care. We don't need the Borg Queen. Picard, it's your fault. You kept the Borg Queen alive and sacrificed Elnor. You're a piece of crap. I'm out of here. I'm gonna go find the Watcher on my own with zero intel. And Seven and Rios go with her. And Jurati she's like, I'm going to be assimilated by the Borg. I'm going to jack into the Borg Queen through a USB port, and I'm going to be able to revive her and pull out the information that we want. That's what I want to do. And Picard has a really good line in this episode, which I thought was pretty good. He says, halfway to hell is still not a recommended destination. And I think that's a great line. I think that's a good line. So there are some bright spots in this episode. So Picard jacks the little USB port into the drummer from Scott Pilgrim, and she's connected to the Borg Queen. And then we get some interesting things where basically Borg Queen is poking around inside out style inside of the drummer from Scott Pilgrim, Jurati. So Rios and Seven and Rafi, they all teleport out somewhere, and they I guess there's something wrong with the ship. They don't actually specify it. Not that this has never happened in Star Trek, but usually when it happens, they specify that it's what happened. They get beamed to different areas and different coordinates, and Seven appears, and there's a little girl, and she's like, hey, you're a superhero, and she's like, yeah, keep my secret, whatever. Like, okay, that's kind of a nice moment. Where Rafi, she just appears in a homeless area in Los Angeles. They're in Los Angeles, by the way. Somebody tries to mug her, and she just easily takes him out and then takes his wallet. But while Seven and Rafi just kind of appeared on the ground, safe and sound, they make Rios appear up in the air, and he freaking falls 3 stories and face plants and falls on fire escape and face plants, and then gets taken to a hospital. And it seems like the way they play it out, it's supposed to be a joke.
Itty bitty smile, but just let the mouth curl a little bit.
And it's not funny, obviously, but it's also really annoying because why has Rios always got to be the butt of all these stupid jokes? Can you just have him be a cool commander? Like, what's wrong with that? Well, I forgot to mention this. So before the away team leaves, Rios has this phaser and his communicator, and Girardi gives him this long speech about, hey, well, you shouldn't bring this stuff because of butterfly effect, and you know, what if you lose this stuff? And he's like, well, I'll be careful with it. Don't worry about it. He does give up the phaser, but he leaves with the communicator, as does Seven and Rafi. But for whatever reason, she just feels the need to just give Rios this speech. Rios is the captain of the Stargazer. Why are these people talking to him like he's not the captain of the Stargazer? And he's the captain of the, like, he owns this ship. I just don't like it when characters talk down to other characters. It belittles the characters. And Rios and Picard seem to be the brunt of all of it. And then from that, when they bring Rios to a clinic to be fixed up, he immediately loses his communicator. And you're like, oh, I see. So not only did he get a long speech about not losing it, and he said he wouldn't lose it, he gets teleported up in the air, falls on his face, gets taken to a clinic, and he immediately loses his communicator within like 10 to 15 minutes of this speech that he was given. Like, why?
Why would you do that? Why would you do any of that?
That's how I felt. I was like, why? Why is this? Now, I will say that at least it leads to a story point, which is good. I thought it was going to go in a different direction. They actually made the smarter decision, and he meets a little boy who turns out to be the little boy of the doctor that just fixed him up, and there's a little bit of banter back and forth. And Rios is my favorite new character. I don't know if I've said that before. I'm going to just continue to say it. He's the best of the new characters. Rafi pretty much immediately just starts going into commentary mode, rousing commentary on the troubles of 2024, the homelessness and the capitalism and the environment and all of this stuff. And I'm just, in my head, I'm just thinking, I'm like, yeah, it's definitely obviously not Star Trek. This is a bad time for humanity in comparison to where Star Trek's supposed to be. But New Trek, like, you left your family, became a drug addict, and then lived in a trailer out in the middle of the desert where you consistently blamed Picard for why you were out there, and then you gave Picard crap for living in a chateau, as if there's some kind of monetary reason for why he's living in a chateau when you're living in a trailer, when there's no monetary reason for that to happen in Trek. So, again, these writers do not know how to write Star Trek. They don't know how to write it. Like, they don't know how to get away from this. So it doesn't contrast well with 2024. I mean, compared to how it was in like Star Trek 4, when that team went back in time.
Watch where you're going, you dumbass! Well, I'll double dumbass on you!
Or in the Voyager episode, the two-parter, Time's End or Future's End, where they go back in time.
You're so dedicated, you know? Like, you care about something more than just your own little life.
Is that so unusual?
Yeah.
Either of those, where they go back in time to the 90s and the 80s, and the reactions that they have are all cultural things, right? It's like clothes that you wear and like music and vernaculars and stuff like that. What do you do when with these characters? You just immediately have them, you know, crap all over how terrible everybody is. The environment's terrible. Everybody's terrible, and this is a terrible time, and everybody's terrible.
I'm smart, you're dumb. I'm big, you're little. I'm right, you're wrong.
It's not fun, okay? You can have fun with Star Trek, guys. It's okay. You have the fans' permission to have some fun with Star Trek. It doesn't have to be this dark dystopian nightmare. So when Girardi's like jacked into the Borg Queen, and they're having this back and forth, and the Borg Queen basically starts taking over Girardi, and they have like this weird thing where she just starts yelling at Picard again. This is the second time in the episode where we have somebody yelling at Picard and calling him names and stuff. And you're like, who are you, Girardi, to be talking about Picard this way? You literally murdered somebody in the first season in cold blood, and you just got away with it. The writers hand waved it away, essentially. And you're a terrible character. I don't like you. You're the worst of the new characters by far. So who are you to be trash talking Picard? But anyway, somehow she ends up beating the Borg Queen out while she's jacked in. And the Borg Queen wakes up, and she's like, oh, well, I still have all the information. I still own all the cards. So you need to do whatever I'm saying, because, you know, we need to negotiate and this and that. And the Borg Queen's really strange here. Like, the way that she's like talking, it just doesn't really seem like the Borg Queen to me. She seemed more like the Borg Queen when she was like schizophrenic from the time displacement or whatever. That seemed more like the Borg Queen than this character. But it doesn't matter, because it's rendered irrelevant, because Girardi somehow managed to pull out all the information that she wanted from the Borg Queen, and she filed it away in a file called Shit That I Stole from the Borg Queen. This is one of the problems I have with new Star Trek, is the vernaculars that's used.
Give me the profanity.
This is This is universally accepted by Star Trek fans. This is established in continuity that this kind of colorful vernacular isn't used in the future. But with New Trek, they consistently do this. They started it with Discovery and they're still doing it here. Using words like this is cool and shit and using like curse words and stuff like that.
Nobody pays any attention to you unless you swear every other word.
That doesn't happen in Star Trek. They don't have that kind of vernacular. I hate this. I hate that they're doing that. And the Borg Queen says that she's impressed by Girardi, and that's a dangerous thing. You've impressed me. What? That's also not what something the Borg Queen would say. She's just not acting like the Borg Queen. I don't know what to say about it. So Seven and Raffi go up on a tower so they can use their little communicator, Lion King style, and hold it up and try and figure out where this watcher is. And they pick up a signal or something, and it goes away pretty quick. So I guess they're probably gonna track him down or go look for him in the next episode. But that's pretty much all you really get with Seven and Raffi. Going back to Rios. This is the part that I was just like, suspension of disbelief, okay? When you take it to like current times, we all live in those current times. So when you have immigration officers show up in Los Angeles, of all places, to break into a clinic to arrest illegal immigrants in Los Angeles? What? Maybe if it was on Texas border or something like that, but in Los Angeles?
I don't think so.
You know what? I have a lot of suspension of disbelief, but immigration officers breaking in and arresting illegal immigrants in a U.S.-owned clinic in Los Angeles. It's in Los Angeles, of all places. But anyway, like I said, Rios gets arrested, and that's the end of the episode. I gave a lot of props to episode 1, and I gave a lot of props to episode 2. I want to like Star Trek, okay? This was the final chance. This is the final frontier for me when it comes to New Trek. If season 2 disappoints, I'm not going to watch New Trek anymore. At least not until new creators, new writers are brought on to kind of do something. I just can't justify it to myself consistently watching this stuff that I don't like. I've been a Star Trek fan since I was a kid, and you know, I'll be damned if somebody's going to tell me that you know, you just want to hate it. No, I don't want to hate it. I want to love it. That's what being a fan is. Being a fan is that you actually want to love something, that you do love something. And when they change it, you give it as much chance as you can. But maybe you shouldn't change it. Just an idea. Maybe you should just carry the baton that was given to you from the previous creators, who also carried the baton before them from Gene Roddenberry. Maybe that'll work. Novel idea, guys. So overall, this is a better episode than anything I saw in season 1. Season 2 so far is better than season 1, and that's good. But this is the first episode where I'm starting to see the downward trend. And I kind of had the idea before this that as soon as they went back in time, as soon as they ended up in 2024, that the show was just going to go downhill. And I'm starting to see the signs of it. I'm going to probably try and stick it out and review the rest of the show with the hopes that it gets better. You know, this episode was below mediocre in my opinion. And yeah, we'll wait and see what they do. Also, if you are a Star Trek fan, I do want to say I have 2 really kind of positive Star Trek videos coming to the channel, because I'd rather talk about like the positive stuff in Star Trek. I really don't like talking about the negative things in Star Trek, and that's the way that it's kind of unavoidable with New Trek to avoid that. So if you do, please subscribe, and look forward to sharing those with you guys. But what do you guys think? Did you like this episode? Are you watching Picard? Are you a lifelong Star Trek fan who's also disappointed in New Trek? Did you just give up on this? Did you just give up on New Trek entirely, or not even watching this? I'd like to know. Just comment and let me know. And if you are enjoying it, props to you. Thank you for getting this far in the video, even though I spent a lot of time really kind of crapping on this episode. There were a couple things that I did like, and it is better than anything I saw in season 1, which is a positive, okay? I don't want to hate this stuff. All right, but comment, let me know what your guys' thoughts are. And I want to thank everybody for watching this video. Thank you, subscribers, because you guys are awesome. And if you like this video, please like, comment, share, subscribe, do all the YouTube stuff, or don't. I'm not a bigger. I'm D264, and I'll always tell you the truth.